There cannot be a crisis next week. My schedule is already full. I don't see why we need to stand by and watch a country go communist due to the irresponsibility of its people. The issues are much too important for the Chilean voters to be left to decide for themselves. The task of the leader is to get his people from where they are to where they have not been. Power is the great aphrodisiac. The conventional army loses if it does not win. The guerrilla wins if he does not lose. If you don't know where you are going, every road will get you nowhere. 90% of the politicians give the other 10% a bad reputation. University politics are vicious precisely because the stakes are so small. Whatever must happen ultimately should happen immediately. Diplomacy, the art of restraining power. You can't make war in the Middle East without Egypt, and you can't make peace without Syria. No foreign policy, no matter how ingenious, has any chance of success if it is born in the minds of a few and carried in the hearts of none. The nice thing about being a celebrity is that, if you bore people, they think it's their fault. The illegal we do immediately. The unconstitutional takes a little longer. Each success only buys an admission ticket to a more difficult problem. The attitude of the West and of Russia towards a crisis like Ukraine is diametrically different. The West is trying to establish the legality of any established border. For Russia, Ukraine is part of the Russian patrimony. Even a paranoid can have enemies. Accept everything about yourself, I mean everything, you are you, and that is the beginning and the end, no apologies, no regrets. A leader does not deserve the name unless he is willing occasionally to stand alone. To be absolutely certain about something, one must know everything or nothing about it. The essence of Richard Nixon is loneliness. The absence of alternatives clears the mind marvelously. In crises the most daring course is often safest. The Vietnam War required us to emphasize the national interest rather than abstract principles. What President Nixon and I tried to do was unnatural, and that is why we didn't make it. America has fought 5 wars since 1945 and has gained its objectives in only one of them, the Gulf War. No one will ever win the battle of the sexes, there's too much fraternizing with the enemy. If I should ever be captured, I want no negotiation, and if I should request a negotiation from captivity, they should consider that a sign of duress. Blessed are the people whose leaders can look destiny in the eye without flinching but also without attempting to play God. While we should never give up our principles, we must also realize that we cannot maintain our principles unless we survive. The superpowers often behave like 2 heavily armed blind men feeling their way around a room, each believing himself in mortal peril from the other, whom he assumes to have perfect vision. The Vietnam War was a great tragedy for our country, and it is now far enough away so that one can study without using the slogans to see what's really happened. The American temptation is to believe that foreign policy is a subdivision of psychiatry. Donald Trump is a phenomenon that foreign countries haven't seen, so it is a shocking experience to them that he came into office. We are all the president's men. For other nations, utopia is a blessed past never to be recovered. For Americans it is just beyond the horizon. The security of Israel is a moral imperative for all free peoples. A president has an inescapable responsibility to provide direction. What are we trying to achieve? What are we trying to prevent? Why? To do that, he has to both analyze and reflect. I don't ascribe to myself any special competence in economic insight. I translate what I hear from highly intelligent people into political and philosophical propositions. Moderation is a virtue only in those who are thought to have an alternative. It is, after all, the responsibility of the expert to operate the familiar and that of the leader to transcend it. No country can act wisely simultaneously in every part of the globe at every moment of time. Leadership is absolutely vital if there are comparable countries which can affect the security of the world you live in. Between Lincoln and Roosevelt's time, America was protected by huge oceans and, in practice, by the British Navy. Today, it's different, and the obsession of the Obama administration has been for retrenchment. We cannot always assure the future of our friends. We have a better chance of assuring our future if we remember who our friends are. The longer I am out of office, the more infallible I appear to myself. If it's going to come out eventually, better have it come out immediately. The American foreign policy trauma of the 60s and 70s was caused by applying valid principles to unsuitable conditions. Art is man's expression of his joy in labor. It was a Greek tragedy. Nixon was fulfilling his own nature. Once it started, it could not end otherwise. People are generally amazed that I would take an interest in any forum that would require me to stop talking for 3 hours. Most foreign policies that history has marked highly, in whatever country, have been originated by leaders who were opposed by experts. Visit our website for more quotes, quoting.com.